Will we see INEOS Old Trafford, INEOS on the shirts or the training ground?
I've not really thought about it, to be honest, but that's not the reason we're here. It's to see Manchester United winning trophies.
That there was Jim Ratcliffe speaking in his first interview after he acquired 25% of Manchester United. And now we're having conversations around, will INEOS sell the naming rights to the stadium? Maybe to part fund it. I'm going to run through the news article, and I want you to let me know in the comments. Would you be happy if Manchester United sold the naming rights to Old Trafford if it meant that that money was going to fund either a refurbished Old Trafford or a new Old Trafford? You can let me know in the comments. Big up to Trainpal for sponsoring this video. I'll speak about that a little bit later. But I need to run through this because this is a huge topic of conversation. And it's a massive, massive debate among United fans. Understandably, Old Trafford's been our home. Would it change if it wasn't called Old Trafford? Well, it wouldn't for me. That's the first thing I would say. But United are considering selling the naming rights. Man United are considering selling the naming rights or deliberating ticket price increases to pay for the new stadium, to help pay for the new stadium. United have also held talks with Bank of America to try and see if they can raise some more money, but that's debt. That's the biggest problem that our club has had and still has because of the Glazers. What will happen to it? It is unclear at this stage whether the club or INEOS would carry the burden of fresh debt. Be a huge problem if they did. It's ever so slightly different to the Glazers simply putting money on the club because they did that because they couldn't afford the club. If money is spent and debt is acquired to build a new stadium, to refurbish Old Trafford, it's slightly different. But I need to know what you think about this in the comments because I've got something I want to say about it. All right. Now, as I said, when it comes to Old Trafford, if there is a new stadium built, there's going to be a new train station built there as well as part of improving the infrastructure. Big up to Trainpal for sponsoring this video. If you don't know what Trainpal is, seriously, train tickets are ridiculously expensive. This can help you save some money. Splitting tickets, no booking fees. If you use the code, by the way, UPTV, you can also get some extra discounts. You can get all kinds of rail cards, 34% off to save you even more. And there are features like Trackpal to help you track your journeys, on top of all the discounts too. So make sure you click the link in the description. You can download the app, it's free. Use the code UPTV to get yourself some extra discounts on top of that. And on top of using that UPTV code, new users can get up to 5% off tickets and existing users can get an extra 2%. So make sure you save yourself some money. Click the link in the description, download Trainpal. I don't think you'll regret it. But when it comes to the stadium, right, funding it is a huge issue. And that conversation there, I think the bigger problem here is the idea that ticket prices will go up substantially. Man United Supporters Trust have released a statement there saying, we do not believe that fans should bear the brunt via ticket price rises. Funding should be from new share issues. So Man United can release another £200 million worth of shares, dilute how much the shares of INEOS and the Glazers are worth by creating that money. That's happened before. Why couldn't it happen for this? But naming rights, all right? I just want to go on record here to say, and I don't know whether this is going to be controversial or not. I don't personally see too much of a problem with Old Trafford being called, I'm not saying something completely different, Manscaped Arena or some madness like that. But have you ever at any point in your life called Carrington the Aon Training Complex? Because I haven't. And I've never heard anybody call it the Aon Training Complex. Old Trafford will always, always be Old Trafford. It wouldn't matter if it became Spotify Old Trafford or if it became Amazon Old Trafford or if it became INEOS Old Trafford. It would still be Old Trafford to me. And I'm sure it will still be Old Trafford to you. Look, if you look at, it's happened plenty. It's happened mainly in two places in this country. You've got Emirates Stadium, you've got the Etihad Stadium. Emirates, of course, are Arsenal's primary shirt sponsor too, and same with the Etihad and the stadium. Could that happen with INEOS? I mean, it's conceivable. It's absolutely conceivable. Manchester United is one of the biggest brands in the world, and if INEOS want that brand exposure, well, they'd have to pay for it. But there's precedent there. And as I said, do I think any Barcelona fans are going to start calling Camp Nou Spotify Camp Nou? No, I really don't. I really, really don't. If it means that Manchester United can now afford a new stadium, Well, it won't fund the whole stadium. It can part fund a new stadium or part fund the refurbishment without adding extra debt onto our football club, then that's you want to call it, I suppose it's lesser of two evils in that sense. Because Manchester United have got to raise a substantial amount of money somehow. Could that simply be by INEOS paying for it? In an ideal world, yeah. But business is far from an ideal world. And I'd be surprised. And Man United have increased their season ticket prices. I remember they froze them for about, it must have been like 10, 11 seasons that season ticket prices were frozen. And they've gone up, they went up 5% last year. I think they're going up 5% again this year. And I think it would be outrageous, and I agree with the Man United Supporters Trust there. I think it would be outrageous to think the Manchester United fans could just, charge them all an extra 15, 20% of their season tickets, and we'll use that money to pay for the stadium that we've neglected for this long. Nah, screw that. That's, for me, the worst of the scenarios there. Next scenario would be more debt. Maybe that would be the worst scenario if that debt was then put onto Manchester United and we were servicing that debt as well as the Glazers' debt. I mean, that would be the worst case scenario. And then on top of that, you've got the possibility of selling the naming rights and for Old Trafford to, as I said, be called Amazon Old Trafford, Coca-Cola Old Trafford. And what else have I got on my table? Number 7, energizing moisturizer. Old Trafford, apparently. I don't have that much of a problem with it, if I'm being totally honest. And this isn't just because, I don't go to Old Trafford enough. I wish I could get to Old Trafford more. Although I'll be totally honest, I enjoy going more to away games and to Euroways than I do Old Trafford, and I have done for a few years. Just my personal experiences. And probably the people I go with as well, more than anything. But Old Trafford, I will never, ever call Old Trafford anything else apart from Old Trafford. It doesn't matter what sign is on the outside of Old Trafford. Anybody on any game you're ever watching, the commentators will always call it Old Trafford. So if it means that selling the naming rights or selling part of the naming rights, so you've got Wembley, which is like connected by EE. So that's a partnership while still being called Wembley. There's different variations of this, but this is going to be such a contentious issue. I've given you my opinion there. If it meant that money would go straight back in to fund part of the stadium, I would rather that than Man United fans, or all fans, all ticket prices going up by 20%. I think that's a terrible scenario. Also, the idea that more debt could come and be put onto the club is a terrible scenario. So out of all of those three options, I think selling naming rights will be the one that would sit best with me. I don't know what way to describe it. But ultimately, I will always call it Old Trafford. You will always call it Old Trafford. All your friends would as well. So it doesn't really matter that much to me. Oh, no, it's not that it doesn't matter that much. Old Trafford is the home. But if we're going to fund it, we have to fund it somehow. And I think there are worse options than selling the naming rights to Old Trafford. My opinion, you might not agree, but I'll be very interested to know what you think in the comments below. So please do drop a like on the video and leave your comment as well, because I really want to know what everyone has to say on this.